I want to go ahead and just thank everybody for coming. I apologize, I had myself on mute at the time, but I do want to welcome everyone for joining us here at our webinar. And instead of kind of going over everything earlier, I just want to kind of jump into who our speakers are. It's Romy Mahajan from Metavana, Andrew Jevons, President of Survey Analytics, and John Nelson, the Vice President of Survey Swipe. And here's our trends here that we're going to be talking about. Our main topics include gamification, panel communities, passive data collection, HTML5, mobile ethnography, and hyperlocal surveys. So the first topic we're going to pose to our speakers today is about gamification. Why is gamification important? Why do you believe it's important? And do you believe it's the future of market research?
So, Esther, how do you want to do this? This is Romy Mahajan. Would you like us each to answer it, or would you like to direct it at a particular panelist? A question.
I'll go ahead and direct this question over to you first, Romy.
So first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be on this webcast. This is my second webcast with the Survey Analytics family, and the last one was very enjoyable, and we got some good feedback. So I do hope that those of you who are listening send us the bouquets or the brickbats, depending on how well we do, and let us know if these are useful for you, or if you want to see more sort of complexity in the way we do these, and more detail. So gamification, I think, is a trend that you kind of have to have been under a rock not to have been reading about, right, recently. I mean, it's really about the application of an age-old construct, that of a game, to business, to web interactions, to financial services, to the medical field, to almost anything. And the notion here is that a game, when you break it down into its fundamental parts, is actually pretty easy to understand. There's an objective, there's voluntary participation, there's some level of feedback you get along the way, there's an element of fun to it, and we've come to understand that the metaphor of gaming is applicable to people of all ages and all societies, at all levels of the economic sort of totem pole, etc. And as such, gamification has become a very powerful metaphor, again, for how we do business. I think about gamification in a couple ways when I think about market research, when I think about marketing in general. At the very, very basic, you think about the fact that each one of us has gotten a survey at some point in our life that says, fill it out and you'll be entered into a drawing for a $500 gift certificate or a Ferrari or, some other artifact that's delightful. And, that is a form of gamification as well, right? We make a game out of interaction, and as such, people will participate. As a parent, I remember gamifying the dining experience with my kids. The classic, take your fork, put some food on it, and pretend it's an airplane, and tell the kid that the airplane is coming into the airport, right? So gamification has applicability to almost anything we do. Doing it well, however, is difficult, and I look forward to some of the other panelists talking about either examples of gamification that have not gone well or have gone well.
Sounds good. So I do want to pose one question that I get a lot from clients that I'm talking to about gamification, and a lot of them, are very resistant to it. So, clearly this goes against any traditional research techniques in a very aggressive manner. What would you guys say to those doubters to encourage them not to dismiss gamification as a fluke, but as another avenue to collect data in the future? Is there any other speakers who would like to weigh in on this?
This is Romy Mahajan. I'd love to take that on and then see if Andrew or John would like to pipe in. So first of all, I think gamification, there are people, as you say, that think about it as a sort of a trivialization of research or anything else. And I think part of that is people being caught up in the notion, or just the word itself, the game. Games, people tend to think of games as frivolous. In fact, every good interaction when it comes to data collection, when it comes to the web, when it comes to moving a customer from one experience to the next is gamified. We're trying to create interesting experiences. We're trying to help them understand what they can get at the end of participation, whether it's greater knowledge, whether it's some sort of monetary artifact. And so in a way, we're already doing gamification. The point of giving it a sort of christening it as a category is to say, let's do it better. Let's think about some rules. I mean, I look at the slide you have up there, and I see that we have badges up there. I mean, badges clearly are working. Look at Foursquare. Look at I know there's a company called Badge Farm that you guys are working on. I mean, all of those are incredibly very powerful, again, metaphors for how business is done. And so to me, I would tell the naysayers that they're probably already indulging in gamification. And if they believe that it's a frivolous category, then they're probably not doing it well. So that would be what I would submit to them. So maybe sort of just break down the point at its beginning without actually debating the merits, because gamification is here and it's here to stay. Either I'm brilliant or the other panelists are on mute.
Yeah, this is Chad. I'm sorry, I actually put myself on mute as well. So yeah, I just want to kind of add to Romy what Romy said about gamification on ServiceRipe. What we've done is ServiceRipe is built with the reward system built in. So panelists earn points when they take surveys. That's an example of the basics of gamification that we've built into ServiceRipe. And over time, we're gonna integrate Badge Farm into ServiceRipe as well. In fact, we're already on beta for that. So definitely Badge Farm, gamification is going to be part of ServiceRipe.
That's great, Chad. I mean, I think that SurveySwipe is already such a powerful platform. I really enjoyed the demos that you guys have done for me, and enjoyed thinking through the applications. On gamification, I guess my last point would be that for those people on the panel who are intrepid enough to read further on this, I would recommend Jane McConigal's book called Reality is Broken and the O'Reilly Media book called Gamification by Design. Both are incredibly good and lucid expositions of gamification and their application to different areas of business. So we'll go from there.
Absolutely, certainly read that book. It's absolutely awesome.
Great.
Great. So let's go and move on to our next topic here, which is panel communities. Basically, what are panel communities, and what do you believe is its benefits to a company? Romy?
Dana, do you want to talk a little bit about the sort of definition? Then I'd love to talk a little bit about how I see them being applied to marketing and market research. Dana or Andrew?
Yeah, I'd like to add to that a little bit. When I think about panel communities, I think of two things really. One is cost-effective research, in the sense that you build a community of panelists, and you can conduct multiple research studies with the same community. So naturally, you tend to save money by building the community once and conducting multiple studies, different types of studies. The second thing that I think about, when I think about panel communities, is history. So not only do you collect data for a particular study, but through our platform, where our surveys can actually be authored in a way where we can populate profile information about panelists, backfill profile information through surveys of our panelists, you actually have a trend of historical data on what people went through in terms of their choices. So an example would be, if they had a Toyota Corolla today, did they actually buy a Lexus, 2 years down the road? So history context with cost-effective research is when I think about panel communities. And then when I think about mobile, mobile essentially adds a real-time component to it. When I think about mobile and panel communities, I really think about engagement.
Yeah, so this is Romy. I love what Chad just talked about in terms of context and engagement. I really think about things like panel communities and constructs there of their ilk in terms of creating deep context, because what we've found is that the traditional model of episodic random feedback doesn't really afford the company a lot of wisdom. You certainly get data. You can make some knowledge out of that data, but it doesn't really give you the wisdom you need to understand how people are thinking, how they're changing, what context are they in when they give you data or information. And so when I think about that traditional notion of a great company will take data and make wisdom out of it, I think about panel communities being a core part of that. I've worked for huge companies like Microsoft, for medium-sized companies like Ascentium, and now I'm part of a startup. And in each case, there's a very clear application for a consistent time series of information you'll need to understand how are people changing, what are we doing to move them up, let's say, the value addition chain, and panel communities a piece of that. So I think they're an invaluable piece of your marketing research mix. They're not a be-all and end-all, but they're a very important piece of the marketing research mix, which ultimately is what we're talking about here, right? A mix of things you have to do to get the right context and to surround the user in a way that you're really understanding where he or she is coming from and where they're going forward. So I think it's a very powerful concept, and the addition of mobile local context is going to change this industry, and I think both transform it in a good way and disrupt it. So the old players are going to have a very, very hard time unless they understand that there's a new sort of a new sheriff in town, and that's things like survey swipe and mobile and local. So.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So one of the questions I always get from clients, they want to know, how easy is it to set up an online panel and to get it going into a mobile panel? Is that easy to do?
Yeah, I'll answer that question. It's actually, so our online panel software platform, MicroPanel, is itself very, very easy to set up. It takes about 15 minutes to get a working panel up and running. Of course, if you want it to look, so we also have in-house designers that can help you set it up, so that if you want a more detailed changes to your panel. The mobile panel software survey swipe, which is is essentially built on top of MicroPanel. So pretty much the survey swipe apps are ready on all 4 platforms: iPhone, Android, Windows, and BlackBerry. And setup time, if you want a custom app, a custom branded app, except iPhone, it basically takes about a week to 2 weeks to get it out the door, with a custom branded app, including your online setup. So, to get a working version up and running, it's basically half an hour.
Wow, that's really impressive.
That really is impressive. I mean, that means that you can go from inception to reality in less time than it would take you to even get on the web and find a vendor normally. So that's awesome.
That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our third topic here, which is passive data collection. This is a new thing to me. I actually have not heard about this until a couple days ago. So it'd be great if either Romy or Chad can tell us a little bit more about exactly what is this thing called passive data collection and how does it work?
Absolutely. I'll start, and then Romy can, definitely contextualize it much better than I can. The idea here is that, most of the research that we do today is active in the sense that, we send out a survey or we ask respondents to participate in a online chat or, participate in ideation or participate in a community forum of sorts. The idea with passive data collection is that because we have apps installed on 4 different platforms, or we have apps available on 4 different platforms, we can actually get, with users' consent, data that is extremely valuable for research. As an example, I think my favorite thing is that we can actually we today actually collect what apps people are running on iPhone. On Android, since Android is a more open platform, we can actually figure out things like what apps are installed, what apps are currently running, how much data, cell phone and Wi-Fi people are consuming per day, and on top of that, we can obviously collect the operating system version, model, battery level. So very, very deep, information that you can then tie it with a panelist's profile, and then you can use that profile eventually to basically segment users while you're trying to send surveys to or do more deeper research.
So let me take, this is Romy, let me take off from that, from what Chad said, and talk about passive data collection in a slightly more philosophical way. I think Chad's exposition of some of the technical details was awesome and what you can learn. But when I think about passive data collection, and it's something that I've been thinking about now for a while as a marketer, the best analogy I can think of is this notion of white coat syndrome. In the medical profession, right? When the doctor walks in his white lab coat, your blood pressure automatically goes up because you know something is going on. And most active methods of collecting data, by definition, skew the data you're getting. Passive allows people to be in their normal context, in situ, as it were, and allows you to really understand how they think, how they react, what their behavior is, without some sort of force-fitted scenario. So, the fact is that myself, I tend to believe, be an honest and authentic person. When I get a survey, part of me is wondering, what should I answer? What would other people who, if they were watching me, what would I say? How many, how many drinks do I have a week? What should I put down on that survey, to be a little facetious about it? And passive data collection allows you to really understand what people do versus what they say they do. And so I think it's an incredibly powerful context, one in which, if you think about it, from another analogy, structured data gives you kind of the skeleton of the body, and the unstructured passive data that you can collect fills out the body and makes a human out of it. So I'm extremely excited about this trend, and I think we'll see a lot more of it going forward now that we're technically equipped to collect passive data with ease.
Absolutely, Romy. Yeah, one more thing. I'm sorry, Esther. So one more thing that I would like to add. I absolutely agree with what Romy said. One other thing that we also do is when a survey is submitted, we actually automatically collect lat long, the GPS location of where the survey was taken. So while that's interesting, what that really achieves is validation of the fact that if you say that you're at some point versus us collecting that data. When the response is collected, we can actually validate the fact that the user was where where they say that they were. Absolutely.
I have one question about that. Do you think passive data collection, you know, violates any privacy issues or anything. I can definitely see that being a problem with this kind of data collection.
Uh, I think you know, by definition, the panelists become part of the panel, and then we have. I guess it is a concern. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not a concern, but there are several ways you can, alleviate the problem, at least, or at least mitigate the risks of, really making your panelists angry. We have extensive support for opt-in. So what that means is basically, as part of joining the panel, apart from your standard terms of service, we also have several screens where we basically tell the user that, hey, you're going to be part of app metering, or you're going to be part of bandwidth metering, or so we are very explicit about what we collect, and then the user can turn it off whenever they want.
This is Romy Mahajan. One last aside on that, and again, I apologize to those who are listening who, I'm a marketer, not a market researcher, but it's definitely worth saying that I found that if you collect data from someone and you give them back value for that data, people are pretty okay with it. Where people really get bothered is when you're getting data from them for your own good, but don't give them any value exchange for it. And so my view, Esther, is that while there is a privacy question involved in this, it will be mitigated as we are able to give people back something of value in exchange, whether it be data, knowledge, wisdom, something monetary, etc. So yeah, but absolutely, again, huge trend and very prescient of the survey analytics team for putting this on the webcast.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for the explanation. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing, which is HTML5, and how would this benefit mobile market research? I'm going to go ahead and let Chad start.
Yeah, I think what I would like to sort of focus in on is basically say that we are a software company, a technology company, and our goal is to make sure that we allow all the tools that are necessary to collect data for market researchers. So, like the way I see it is that surveys are all about distribution, or research is all about distribution, in the sense that the more people you can reach in the form factors that people interact with today, the better it is, because you're going to collect more data. That's a very fundamental view that I have, and HTML5 really is, a testament to that belief, really, because what HTML5 allows us to do is, while we have apps for the 4 major platforms, HTML5 allows us to reach other platforms that we may not have apps for. And even in the cases where we do have apps on mobile devices, for a quick survey, HTML5 can come in pretty handy. So for QR code based scenarios, for example, if the respondent does not have a app installed, HTML5 essentially is a mobile optimized survey solution. So really, it's about reach, and it's about making sure that respondents have access to form factors that they are accustomed to using.
This is Romy. I don't think anyone can say it better than what Chad just did. I mean, HTML5 is going to allow us to deliver value and exchange value with people on the devices of their choice and the context of their choice. And there is no more powerful statement about its power as a technology enabling platform and the power of what's being called, SOLO-MO, so social local mobile. People are banding that about, but there's something very profound about what HTML5 allows, or let's say what it powers. So I'm not a technologist, but again, Chad said it best. It's allowing people to use the device in context of their own choice.
Very cool, very cool. I like that solo mo. I haven't heard that one. So that's very neat. I will definitely keep that in my pocket. All right, so let's go and move on to a really fun topic that I really like getting to, which is mobile ethnography. So what's the difference between mobile ethnography versus traditional ethnography? And what do you see as its benefits? Um, Romy, do you want to start?
Well, I mean, again, what mobile does is it just offers you scenarios, both in terms of time, location, and context that traditional doesn't. I mean, ethnography, it's an interesting word. Its background is anthropology, where an anthropologist was studying, let's say, a tribe or people, living halfway across the world. They would go there and actually get into the context of how these people lived. It wasn't this kind of parachuting in, parachuting out, drive-by type of knowledge collection, right? And mobile ethnography allows you to go into the moment, into the location, and into the context of the people that you're trying to learn from. So, I have never been a person who's been at the forefront in cheerleading of any trend, because I think that a lot of this can be very self-serving. But I do believe that the mobile and local phenomenon is going to transform marketing and marketing research in a way that while pundits are talking about it, no one really understands that we're taking the notion of data and making it contextual wisdom. I've said that several times on this webcast, but if people go away with nothing else than that it's that mobile, the solo mo, really the mobile and local piece of that give you contextual wisdom. Not just data that frankly, data there's an overload of it and no one can make sense of it, but wisdom we can use. So very powerful concept. And again, platforms like SurveySwipe allow a person like me, a marketer without great technology savvy and without great budgets and so on and so forth, to be able to conduct mobile ethnography with ease. And I thank entrepreneurs like Chad and Vivek Bhaskaran of Survey Analytics for coming up with stuff like this.
So what kind of technology do you think is going to make mobile ethnography so exciting? I mean, what kind of what kind of tech tools are you seeing that are going to be super beneficial? I mean, I don't know, maybe taking pictures. What other things do you think is going to be beneficial when you're using the mobile versus having someone observing people?
I'll answer that. I think you kind of have to think about what tools are available today and how mobile is going to enhance those tools. I think like you said, photos, videos, the capability that phones have for scanning barcodes are very, when you look at it at a surface, it's very simple. But when you contextualize it with the kinds of research that can be done. It's not very far-fetched with mobile devices and the power that they have today to have a mom basically take a picture of all the products that she uses for breakfast in the morning, right? It's not very far-fetched for folks to carry their phones and provide very deep contextual data about what they are performing at the moment. So I think when you look at forums, which were sort of passive, you have to have your laptop open to actually give feedback. So a lot of it was sort of based on recall. With mobile, it's instant. I think while it sounds simple, I think it can potentially provide very deep contextual data that could be very useful for market researchers.
Yeah, and let me just add to that. This is Romy. One of the areas that I've been thinking about, and I know people on this webcast must be thinking about a lot, is how do you go and understand, let's say, consumer behavior in countries in which the economy is moving, but really ones in which they're somewhat bereft of traditional infrastructure, right? I mean, how would you go and do real mobile ethnography in Brazil or India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or a place like that? And obviously, the mobile devices, the burgeoning of the mobile world has allowed for that. And so we're opening completely new vistas in research. through this mobile revolution. And ethnography, again, like any disciplinary artifact, has to change with the times, and mobile's absolutely making it far more powerful. So, again, I think we probably exhausted this subject, but again, a very powerful construct.
Fantastic, thank you. Let's kind of dig deeper into a kind of mobile ethnography, hyperlocal surveys. We kind of talked about a little bit already, just kind of bringing it up, through push notifications and mobile ethnography. How do you think this is particularly hyperlocal? So how do you think this is going to change the way clients or companies should interact interact with their customers?
Yeah, so this is Romy again. Hyperlocal. What it's really suggesting is that there are different types of patterns and behaviors depending, again, on that word, on the C word, context, right? In which the old notion of this unvariegated mass of people that all make decisions like a herd is being sort of put to the test. And so hyperlocal says that there might be neighborhoods, communities, particular buying contexts, particular geographies, parts of downtowns, etc., that in which people have different behaviors and different patterns. If you think about, there's huge movement all over the country to revitalize downtowns. It's because the hyperlocality of a particular place changes the behavior and the tenor of both purchases and other things in that area. So again, a very, very powerful construct, as long as it's not overdone, right? As long as you're not now dealing with, millions of data sets when you're trying to sell Tide detergent, right? Because the Tide detergent might or might not change depending on the hyperlocality of the context. But there are some products and services that do, and you just have to be smart about where you invoke hyperlocal and where you don't. But again, all of these things are just tools. They have to be wielded carefully, and a good market researcher knows that, and a bad market researcher will just use them all without thinking and actually create a Tower of Babel for him or herself. So.
I do want to pose a question over to Chad. How exactly does hyperlocal work for a person who's on a panel?
The way it works is you basically program a location and associate a survey with that particular location. And the location is basically defined by lat long of that place. And then you can define a radius where you could say if the panelist is within this radius, enters this circle per se of the radius that you define, the survey becomes available. The panelist gets a push notification, and then they will instantly get the survey right there. What that I think that is just the basic of what is possible. So that we also have been experimenting with some heuristic-based approaches where we're trying to figure out if we can figure out if a panelist enters a particular store, let's say Walmart, and stays there for half an hour, and then tagging all that information, keeping all that information, and then after half an hour, assuming that they've left Walmart, send a customer satisfaction survey saying, hey, looks like you just visited Walmart. Did you visit Walmart? What did you buy? What did you not buy? Why did you not buy? Those kinds of things. Traditional surveys that you want to do. So really, you program the location, you associate the survey, and I think the key here, key to understand here is that we can the panelist gets the survey where they actually are. right? So the location context and the time context and the context of why they made certain decisions, you know, can be very, very useful tool, I believe.
I know this is Romy. I know we're about to jump into a demo, but I've got to riff off what Chad is saying because there's something even more granular that's very powerful. Because when Chad talks about latitude and longitude, you can. I advise a company called Novitas, and they've built an incredibly interesting Wi-Fi system where you could technically get the exact details of where somebody is in a store. So are they in the men's section, and do they move to shoes, and how long do they stay there, and what was their behavior as you pushed out offers and coupons to them. And so HyperLocal allows you to not just pinpoint a specific store, but a part of a store or a part of a neighborhood. It's just very, very powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So how do these things get delivered? Is it mostly push notifications?
Yeah, it actually shows up on the phone. It's pretty prominent, and you click on, you swipe the push notification, and then you basically get the survey directly, and then you go through the survey. Absolutely, it's through a push notification. And it works on Android and iPhone.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So this next slide here, we're asking for some participant people to, I guess, some participation from our audience here. So if you want to try Survey Swipe, go ahead. If you have a QR code scanner, just scan one of these items. We're going to go ahead and leave it here for just a bit. I do have some questions that have come in from the audience, so I'm going to go ahead and pose a couple of these to our panelists. Oops, my apologies. I'm trying to move this around. Let's see here. Hopefully you can see my screen. I got a question here from TJ. Can you talk a bit more about choosing panel members to get that data? I guess, are you talking about how do we recruit people to be a part of the panel? That's what I'm thinking he's asking.
I think Dana Stanley should take that one. He's very good at this stuff.
Dana, are you available?
I think the question, Dana, was what are the best practices as you go about choosing the right panelists for these community panels and the mobile panels? What are the best practices for choosing the right people? I think that the question was a really good one. This is Romy, and I think we should think about building a small kind of white paper on building a great mobile community panel community, because I think it's going to be, people are going to have the question as to how does mobile change all of this. So.
Great, great. So another good question here, what are your ideas on how to structure gamification? What makes gamification good? And I think this is mainly for Romy to answer.
So, gamification, again, I think I'm not sure who asked the question, but whoever did caught on the fact that, gamification can be done in a very ham-handed fashion, or it can be done very well. To me, the ultimate sort of expression of gamification is in what I would refer to as passive game mechanics, which is to think about gamification from the ground up as you build something, not to have it as a bolt-on, right? Not to have a website that follows normal kind of click-through patterns, but then you throw up a game on it and expect people to sort of love it. I think about gamification in places where people don't normally think there is gamification. Take Amazon.com. I mean, they've got built-in personalization. They've got built-in what other people did who were like you, what did they buy. They have this great system where people can write reviews and be sort of given badges of sorts around the reviews they write. They entice people to think about other products that are related to the ones they're interested in. All of these are, you participate voluntarily in this kind of grand game that they set up, in which their ultimate goal, of course, is to sell you more stuff. But you don't feel manipulated. So I think we're all past the stage where, take this survey and win a Ferrari. You'll put it, you'll be 1 out of 200,000 people and you might win a Ferrari. That's bad gamification. I think we're all ready for what I call passive game mechanics, where things are built, where gamification is built in, ground up. When I go to an agency today and I ask for a website to be built, that is one of the principles that I use, saying I want this to have game mechanics in the DNA of my website or of my experience. So I hope that helped. I know Esther will be sharing emails after this, so if there's anything I can provide further on that for anyone interested, I'd be happy to, including a reading list and some other writing that I've done on the matter.
Great, thank you. Just a couple more questions before we move on to the demo here. This is probably one I can answer. Do you guys assist with building an online and mobile panel, or just provide the tools? Yes, we actually do both. So if you are interested, please contact us. We can work on we can assist you through the process and train you on how to build and maintain your panel. We've got a bunch of experts on our end that can really help you get this started. And we also have a panel saturation program which will help you build your panel. And we also have internally a company called QSample, which we already have an internal mobile panel. So if you want to get started and do a mobile panel tomorrow, we can do that for you. So, we're kind of a one-stop shop here, where, we're not just giving you the tools. We're actually giving you the training, the expertise from beginning to end, and then you can take it off and do whatever you'd like from it. So it's one of the great things about working with our company.
I'd like to, sorry, and Esther, one more thing that I want to add to what Esther just said is we also help in recruiting mobile respondents. So, if you need people that have smartphones to download, Survey Swipe or any other, your custom branded app, we can do that as well. And that's not a traditional way of recruiting through sample companies, but we actually have partnerships with several, advertising companies and mobile developers. So we definitely have an upper hand in getting access to mobile respondents.
Okay, great. And just one more question, and we'll move on to the demo here. For the non-technical listener, can you please define exactly what HTML5 is?
This is Romy. I'm a non-technical person, so maybe a non-technical person should help. I think of it, the analogy I use is it's this layer on top of other technologies that allows you to look at data, visualize data, have have experiences through this layer, so you can use any device that you want to have those experiences. So I think about it as this sort of what's that? The stuff you put the frosting on top of a cake that allows you to experience the cake from any angle, any device, any context. I hope I wasn't wrong here, because I've been talking a lot about it with HTML and I use it a lot in my work, but that's how I think about it.
No, that's correct, Romeo.
Let's take a look at this cool stuff.
Cool. So Esther, you guys see my screen okay? All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, please proceed.
Cool. So again, my name is John Nelson. I'm the VP of SurveySwipe. And I think just to sort of add to the great conversation we've had so far, we thought it'd be fun to show everybody a quick peek at what SurveySwipe actually looks like. And I think, following this webinar, we'd love to set up personalized demos one-on-one with people who are interested. And I think we're actually gonna schedule a follow-up, much more in-depth tour of the software. But I think for today, it'd be fun to take a quick look at the user experience of SurveySwipe, quick overview, and kind of see how SurveySwipe basically puts in action a lot of these concepts we've been exploring today. So, so everyone can see my screen here. It sounds like. So what we're doing is I'm going to start off by showing on Survey Analytics, we have a dashboard. All of our software is software as a service, so it runs on our servers, no installation required. And SurveySwipe actually runs on the Survey Analytics platform, which is enterprise level, very high-end software and a powerful, proven platform. So, so the first step, I think what we're going to focus on, I think for this demo is what a hyperlocal push notification hyperlocal survey looks like. So the first step in setting up a hyperlocal survey is you simply go here and add a custom location. And you can name it, example with Starbucks, I'll name it my colleague Dana's house in Maine. And you simply enter the latitude, longitude coordinates. And it's important to keep in mind these latitude, longitude coordinates can actually be, if you have a client who's, we actually had someone ask this last week. They have a client who's a fast food chain in the UK with over 3,000 locations, and they want to set up each one to be a hotspot, so we can actually load these locations automatically, so it's not manual, but it's kind of fun to see how the manual piece works. And now I can set the radius for the hotspot. So this radius can be as large as you can set it for a whole country, a city, all the way down to the latest iPhone 4 can get down to 100 feet, 100-foot accuracy. And we're working on a new product that will allow for, in a store to do an aisle-by-aisle drill down, which I think Romy mentioned earlier is definitely an exciting development. So for this survey, I'll set it down to 200 feet. So that's how easy it is to set up your location. And we'll go to Dana's house. So now to send a hyperlocal survey, we select the location that we've programmed in. We select a survey from our menu of pre-programmed surveys. And now we assign the amount of points that the survey is going to be worth for the survey taker when it's complete. So maybe worth 200 points. So the process we just went through is, as you can see, it's very simple, and it's in fact we're done. We've set up a hyperlocal survey. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like. So what we did in the last exercise is we set the latitude, longitude, location for our hotspot, and we set up the survey we'd like delivered. And here in my emulator, we can see the emulator has been set up to think I'm standing in front of a retail store near Seattle called Costco. And what we're seeing is a HyperLocal survey being delivered in action. And what we're seeing is it's a push notification, so it takes over much of the screen. Like, there's a lot of real estate here that's being taken over by the push notification. And we found this really increases response because a panelist really can't ignore this. The phone vibrates. Most of you out there have probably had push notifications. It's definitely something that gets your attention. It's like receiving a text, at least on the iPhone. So this, well, I should preface this by saying this iPhone has our brand, the Survey Swipe app, installed, and location. We've opted in to become a panelist, so it's location sensitive. So it has in fact crossed that 100-foot threshold where I've entered a Costco store, and it is pushing me a survey. So this is HyperLocal in action. So we can see, so what we're looking at here is the Survey Swipe branded solution, and in the lower left and right-hand corner, that would be, for a lot of our clients, they've been asking us to do custom branding. So it'll say powered by Survey Swipe, but it'll be quite customized as far as look and feel. So what you're looking at now is kind of this is the out-of-the-box solution, and we've heard from a lot of clients they really like customization, and they like their own app on iTunes. So, oops. So here's kind of an interesting question type we developed actually just last week. I think the technical term for this is the smiley face question type. But what it shows is the flexibility of our platform and our ability to create very cool, very custom, catchy graphics. We actually had a client approach us who they have a very, I mean, their big product is an emotional response technique that they've patented, and we're actually creating a custom question type for that client. So really the limit's your imagination. So I'll pick super fun. And here's a yes/no question type with the emoticons. All right, so here this question type I think is to me is the most compelling. And what it allows you to do is when you it's very simple actually. You set up a question type of called it's photo, or else we can actually do video. So when the person gets to this question type, you can press the lower right button and take a photo with the photo that's built into the camera, attach it to the survey, and in fact the latitude and longitude is recorded, as well as the unique ID of the phone, and all of this information is attached to the survey response and uploaded into our database for later analysis. So there's no more guesswork on whether someone filled out the survey, in fact, in the retail environment, or they took it later, or they've taken it 300 times just to get rewards. We have built-in fail-safes for that. And this photo feature is an example of mobile ethnography in action. And we're for a large consumer company, we're in the middle of a 6-month study, and we're using the photo feature for a diary project, and they're finding it quite effective. Excellent. So here's a new question type we actually just made a couple of weeks ago, a Net Promoter Score. And you can see it works. iPhones are neat because you can create a slider. Like that's a popular technique. So you can see you can do Net Promoter Score research, as well as the classic. Every iPhone user is familiar with this type of user experience where you select with your thumb. And now I've completed this survey, so it's telling me I'm eligible for these built-in rewards. So actually, this goes right to Romi's point of having the DNA of the application be infused with a little bit of gamification. So you're working towards goals, and you've achieved your goals, so you're going to get rewards. And these are for the rewards that come built into the system as defaults, but we have for other clients totally customized these. So cool. So I guess I want to reiterate what we just looked at today was the Survey Swipe app that's branded for Survey Swipe. But we have been very busy in the last few months building custom apps and, in fact, launching them for clients. So the public, basically the functionality of Survey Swipe is living underneath and the skin and custom look and feel of apps for our clients that are, to the public, branded for clients. So they're very, that's kind of the way we see the market is brands as well as market research companies are going to want their own apps in Android as well as iPhone. And they're going to want a software company like us to do the background work. So, and I want to also say we're going to. This is just the first of a series of webinars, and we're going to in subsequent webinars we're going to go into more detail and really show the flexibility of the platform. I thought today, in the interest of time, we'd just show a quick overview.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, John. Just some quick questions for you that I got from the audience here. Does the Survey Swipe app work worldwide, or is it just specifically in the U.S. right now?
Great question. So I think it's our second biggest client, or it could be our biggest client, is actually a company based in Kuwait. And we support several hundred languages, including, we recently adapted it for Arabic, which I'm not an Arabic speaker myself, but apparently the alphabet's reversed, so that was quite a challenge. But it's one we're up to.
Okay, great. So Australia is good to go, right?
Yeah, that should be a piece of cake.
Okay. Very good, very good. Okay. So let's see here. Is there an additional fee for any custom apps?
Good, that's a great question. So what we do is we charge per instance, and in mobile software, instance is defined by a custom app that we launch. So we can develop a single app, for example, for a market research company. They can use for multiple projects, and we're pretty flexible in how much they can use as far as how many surveys they can send out, responses. But we do, if we're making custom apps for brands, we charge per instance. That's a great question, though.
Okay, great. And let's see here. And how do you aggregate geolocation data? Or how do we collect it and then give it to market researchers to analyze? And in what format?
Yeah, so what we do, this is Chad. What we do is we tag it along with the response. So response is defined by data that you collect for a particular panelist for a particular survey. And then, you can look at it in our response viewer, or you can basically export it to Excel or SPSS.
Okay, great. And then from there, they can decide how they want to segment it and everything?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And are you able to segment by devices and stuff too?
All of the profile information is actually exported along with the survey response. So you can do you can pivot on any column.
Okay, and I just want to do one last question. I know we're running a little bit over time here, but one of the biggest questions that always come up every time I talk about mobile research is the panel or the sample size, and people always question whether or not this is representative of the population. Because it's pretty standard. A lot of people think that people who have smartphones generally have, they have a specific demographic that they fall into. What are your thoughts on how to, what are your thoughts on that comment, and what would you say about that? Do you think they're right, that it's only just a very small population, or do you think it is going to be very general in the future?
I choose to view this as a half glass full versus half a glass empty thing. I tend to believe that by excluding mobile, um, uh, people with mobile phones or mobile sample, you're basically not, you don't have the representative sample. And I have a simple, reason for that. And it definitely is probably not scientific, but most people that I know that use smartphones don't actually use their PCs or laptops as much. So smartphones have pretty much replaced they how much time they consume on alternate devices. So if you know by logic, if people are spending most of their time on their smartphones, uh, by excluding smartphone users, you're actually excluding 50% of the market. That's how I look at it.
That's a great point that you make here. So, Romy, did you want to weigh in on this, or for now?
Esther, I apologize. I had a bit of an audio glitch. Could you repeat the question?
We were just asking, what are people's thoughts on the sample size for mobile research and mobile panel in general? A lot of naysayers say that it's just a small representative. It doesn't show the general population. What is your take on it?
Oh, I think the question is built into the form factor itself, because when you're talking about hyperlocal and you're trying to understand, let's say, the behavior patterns of people as they leave a movie or as they leave a movie at a particular place, by definition, you don't need a lot of people, right? Because what you're trying to do is approximate the behavior of a much smaller set of people. It doesn't have to be the general population. And what we're finding is that there are so many micro markets out there. There's so many micro or niches out there. And so people who naysay there are confusing two things. Hyperlocal never, ever claimed to be representing the whole population. It claimed to be representing a particular behavior pattern as evinced by the context, a particular context. So I think that's, unfortunately, I believe that criticism is one for the rubbish bin.
Okay, great. So I know that we went over on the webinar just a bit today, and a lot of it was probably my fault because I kept myself on mute while I was talking. So, but I want to go ahead and...
Hey, Esther,
go ahead.
Could I quickly weigh in on that last issue?
Oh, sure. Go ahead. My apologies.
No worries, man. So just in a nutshell, the way we position SurveySwipe in the family of survey analytics products is we advocate for mixed mode data collection. So in a sense, SurveySwipe is not out there trying to replace online surveys as much as augment them and help bring in those crucial 18 to 35-year-olds who, like my colleague Chad said, spend all their time on mobile phones. So the way you got to look at it is not to just do mobile, because it's a valid point that you would be locking out your sample. So you want to pick a vendor like Survey Analytics that can help you reach consumers on all screens.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I apologize. I was trying to close down the webinar a little bit too early there. So if there's any, oops, I think there's a little bit of weird feedback here. If there's any other comments from the speakers, I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance to say something. If not, we're going to go ahead and conclude this. The slides and the recording will be available on the blog and to everyone who registered for the webinar. So so if you want to go back and listen to this and then also follow up with some additional questions, feel free to reach out to us over at surveyswipe.com, and we'll be happy to answer any additional questions. I did see also that there were some additional questions we did not get to. I apologize, we did run out of time, but we'll go ahead and do a follow-up email to everyone who has submitted a question. So thank you so much for your participation.
Can I say one thing, Esther? This is Roby
Sure.
Mahajan. For those people who are listening in who would like to get a free copy of the ebook, Gamification by Design, if you could just let Esther know your email, and we'll make sure that you're signed up for one. We're in partnership with O'Reilly Media on that, and they've been very nice at providing free ebooks as we talk about gamification. So.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and conclude our webinar presentation. So thank you so much, Romy, Chad, and John, for joining us today on our fantastic webinar on Survey Swipe and mobile research trends. And have a great rest of your day.
I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.